Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna-tira vanachari Yamuna-tira vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna-tira vanachari Yamuna-tira vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna-tira vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivakacharya Sarasri Simad, His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivakacharya Sarasri Simad, His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Thakur Bhakti Vinod Ki Jai. Disappearance Day of Srila Thakur Bhakti Vinod Ki Jai. Sri Gadada Pandit Disappearance Day Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Go Premananda Hari Hari Bo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together, please. Om Jnana Timirandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prijana Saitam Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Kṛṣṇa Padang Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karana Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapcha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So it's a bit cold. So reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, translation and commentary Srila Prabhupada, Chapter 3, Karma Yoga, verse number 17. So, it's on the board there, right?
Yeah.
So please repeat. Yes. ātma-ratir eva syāt ātma-tṛptaś cha mānavaḥ ātmani eva cha santuṣṭas tasya kāryaṁ na vidyate ātma-ratir eva syād ātma-tṛptaś ca mānavaḥ ātmani eva ca santuṣṭaḥ tasya kāryam na vidyate. Yastva ātma-ratir eva syāt. ātma-tṛptaś mānavaḥ. ātmani eva santuṣṭas. tasya kāryam na vidyate.
ātma-ratir syād.
ātma-ratir syād.
ātma-tṛptaś mānavaḥ.
ātma-tṛptaś mānavaḥ.
ātmani santuṣṭas.
ātmani santuṣṭas.
tasya kāryaṁ na vidyate.
tasya kāryam न विद्यते.
यस्त्वा ātma-ratir स्यात्
ātma-ratir स्यात्.
ātma-tṛptaś mānavaḥ
ātma-tṛptaś māनवः.
ātmanyेवाच santuṣṭaḥ
ātमन्येव च सन्तुष्टः.
tasya kāryam न vidyate
तस्य कार्यं न विद्यते. यस्त्वा ātma-ratir स्यात्.
यस्त्वा ātma-ratir स्यात्
ātma-tṛptaś māनवः.
ātma-tṛptaś mānavaḥ
आत्मन्येव च सन्तुष्टः.
ātmanyेवाच santuṣṭaḥ
तस्य कार्यं न विद्यते.
tasya kāryam न vidyate यस्त्वा
ātma-ratir स्यात्. ātma-tṛptaś māनवः. आत्मन्येव च सन्तुष्टः. तस्य कार्यं न विद्यते.
Yes. Okay. So word for word. Yaha. One who. Two. But. ātma-ratir. Taking pleasure in the self.
Taking pleasure in the self.
Eva.
Eva.
Certainly. Syāt.
Syāt.
Remains. ātma-tṛptaḥ.
ātma-tṛptaḥ.
Self-illuminated.
Self-illuminated.
Cha. And. mānavaḥ. A man. ātmani. In himself. Eva. Only. Cha. And. santuṣṭaḥ. Perfectly satiated.
Perfectly satiated.
Tasya.
Tasya.
His. Kāryam.
Kāryam.
Duty. Na. Does not. Vidyate.
Vidyate.
Exist. Translation Srila Prabhupada. But for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. Please repeat. But for one who takes pleasure in the self,
But for one who takes pleasure in the self,
whose human life is one of self-realization,
whose human life is one of self-realization,
and who is satisfied
and is satisfied
in the self only,
in the self only,
fully satiated, for him there is no duty.
for him there is no duty.
Purport Srila Prabhupada. A person who is fully Kṛṣṇa conscious and is fully satisfied by his acts in Kṛṣṇa consciousness no longer has any duty to perform. Due to his being Kṛṣṇa conscious, all impiety within is instantly cleansed, and an effect of many, many thousands of yajña performances. By such clearing of consciousness, one becomes fully confident of his eternal position in relationship with the Supreme. His duty thus becomes self-illuminated by the grace of the Lord, and therefore he no longer has any obligations to the Vedic injunctions. Such a Kṛṣṇa conscious person is no longer interested in material activities and no longer takes pleasure in material arrangements like wine, women, and similar infatuations. Mukam karoti vācālam pangam laite girim yad kripa tamaham bande Shri Guru Dinatarinam yastu ātma-ratir eva syāt ātma-tṛptaś mānavaḥ ātmani eva santuṣṭas tasya kāryam na vidyate. But for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. Yes. So of course we were just discussing Bhaktivinoda Thakur and the great devotees. They have no material duty, no kāryaṁ, the word in the purport. Can you turn the volume up? And more bass, less treble. So, therefore, we can understand that, taking it conversely, if you're not, that's too much. Turn down the treble. Hare Krishna, that's it. A bit too harsh if you have too much treble. So if you're not fully Krishna consciousness, then you do have a certain amount of duties. So of course, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, as we were mentioning, he says that sannyas should only be taken after one has attained bhava bhakti. Bhava bhakti means liberated condition, stage before prem bhakti. And Bhaktivinoda writes very strongly, he says that if one takes sannyas before bhava bhakti, then that is a farce. So at the end of the Gita, sannyas is answered, described by Kṛṣṇa. Arjuna says, what is sannyas? What is vairag? So Kṛṣṇa says that sannyas means there's no material motivation. One is motivated spiritually. That means one is siddha. There's, in the material world, we're motivated eating, sleeping, mating, defending. 3 modes are bearing on us. But sannyasi, bhava bhakti means ecstatic realization of Kṛṣṇa. Just like Prabhupada says here in the purport, that he's guided by the Supreme Lord. By such clearing of consciousness, one becomes fully confident of his eternal position in relationship with the Supreme. His duty thus becomes self-illuminated by the grace of the Lord, and therefore he no longer has any obligations to the Vedic injunctions. There's that verse, Traigunya Vishya Veda Nistrigunya Bhava. The Vedas mainly deal with how to act on the material platform because they're manifest within the material world. But Kṛṣṇa says, rise above those and become situated in the self. So when one is situated in the self, here in the purport and in the verse, the self, ātma, is mentioned. The devotee who's satisfied in the self is called ātma-ratir, ratir in the verse. So that means taking pleasure in the self. He's rati. Rati means attachment. So his attachment is not in the material modes or in the illusory energy. His attachment is on the transcendental platform. Atma in that way can take 3 meanings. Atma can mean the gross material body, Bhutatma, the material body. The Atma can be considered also the mind, the reservoir of consciousness. But in the highest sense, the Atma is the soul. But then the Atma is the Supreme Lord, the soul of the soul. Just like we are an Atma, yes, in the individual sense. We are the soul of this body. This body is resting upon us. It is a manifestation of our kāma and karma, karma, prarabdha karma, aparabdha. But the soul of the soul is the Supreme Lord. So the yogis, they withdraw from the senses, pratyahara, they meditate on the self, and they may get a certain level of ātma-ratiḥ, ātma-rāṁ, this fixed on the bliss of being, because the soul is Brahman. And so that bliss is the nature of the soul. Satchit Ananda. So when we withdraw from the external energy, and that is the purpose of all the different types of meditation, and we fix upon the soul, our essential identity, we feel a certain bliss. And that bliss we feel is different from any material happiness, any sensual or mental happiness. But the bhakti yogi, bhakta, the upasaka, he goes further than his own self, and he performs worship. Bhakti means devotional worship, yajña. He worships the Supreme Lord. So he doesn't just find ātma-ratiḥ, satisfaction in the Brahman aspect of his own soul, but he enters into connection with Kṛṣṇa. And his purified consciousness, Prabhupada in one lecture, he says, mixes with the Supreme Lord's consciousness. Just like we can see the many lights in this room. So the light is mixing, illuminating the room. So the individual soul, his consciousness, mixes with the Supreme Lord on a pure platform. Therefore there's that verse, Yasya deve parabhakte yasya deve tatagaro tasyate kahita yata prakashante mahatmana. That person, that soul, that has implicit faith in the Supreme Lord and the spiritual master, for him prakashante mahatmana, everything is revealed automatically. So in this material world, everyone is in avidya, because we're trying to control and enjoy the material energy. But the soul who's gone past just, I'm fixed in Brahman, but he's actually performing yajña, upasana. When we're in the period of sadhana, we perform yajña. We perform Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, all the 9 processes, as an offering to Kṛṣṇa. It is yajña. We hear, that's yajña. We offer that hearing. Later on in the 4th chapter, Kṛṣṇa will give all the different types of yajñas. So we chant, we remember Kṛṣṇa, but not for our own satisfaction. That would be kama mishra bhakti. But we perform yajña of remembrance and service and deity worship as an offering to the Supreme Lord. That is the transcendental plane. We may withdraw from the material energy and become ātma-rāṁ. Oh, ātma-ratiḥ. I have no material duty. I'm satisfied, I'm withdrawn. But that is not the ultimate function of the soul. The soul is mama angsa jiva loke, jiva bhuta sanatana. And there's that sloka in the Bhagavatam, Rishikesha Rishikena Sevanam Bhakti Uchate. That yes, give up all upadhi, material designation and material conditioning, and withdraw from the material energy by your knowledge of Siddhanta. And when we know Siddhanta, we lose fruitive desire. We become attached to bhajan, rati. Just like Kṛṣṇa says, aham sarvasya prabhavo matak sarvam prapadate, iti matva bhajantimam bhuta bhava samanvita. So he says, yes, I am the source of everything material and spiritual. Those that perfectly know this, in the translation, they perform bhajan. So when we have Siddhanta, we understand Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojan. When we know the Dashamula, the basic 10 points of the Vedas, then we automatically give up the material consciousness of trying to find advantage through our speaking, through our thoughts, our planning, our material body activities, and we naturally become devotees. So Siddhanta is the key to the transcendental platform for the sadhaka. So therefore Kṛṣṇa says, then he gives the sadhana, maksita, matgata, prana, and then third verse of the Chatur Sloki, he says, tesham satata yuktanam bhajitam priti purvakam. So the sadhaka, he withdraws from the material energy. It's called ātma-shuddha. You're supposed to do it before archanam, right? In deity worship. What is that sloka? Naham viprochana rapatir naipi vaishana sudro naham bhāni. I'm nothing of these upadis. What am I? Gopi bhata kamalayo dasa dasana das. So my soul is to be a servant of the devotees of the Supreme Lord. And actually in the Vedanta Sutra, the commentary of Baladev Vidyabhushan, one question is asked. The Vedanta Sutra is question and answer, dialectic. And one question is that the soul is ātma, mama angsa, part of Kṛṣṇa. So he is directly the servant of Kṛṣṇa. But we see in the descriptions of the spiritual world that the soul is serving. Like they have Lalita Gana, the group of Lalita, Vishaka Gana. They have different ganas, parivars. And in that, the manjaris may be serving Rupa Manjari. They're not directly serving Kṛṣṇa. So the question is that the soul is directly servant of Kṛṣṇa. So why is the soul serving Rupa Goswami and not serving Kṛṣṇa directly? So Baladev gives the answer that the soul voluntarily serves the servant of the servant. That is his ecstasy. That is his humility. So in that condition, everything is spontaneously revealed. Where in the Chit Shakti, in this material world, it's achit. It's the place of darkness. Without the sun, the moon, everything is dark. Without electricity, lighting, everything is dark. So the condition of this world is avidya, darkness. But when one is connected with the Supreme Lord and one is connected through bhakti, like that, sannyas, which we said, is without material motivation. The motivation is spiritual. Impersonalism or voidism would mean, I'm just in the void, I'm in the Brahman. There's no spiritual motivation. But that is that may elevate you to a certain extent. But it is not the goal, it is not the true nature of the soul. Rishikesha Rishikena Sevanam Bhakti Uchate. The real function of the soul is to serve Rishikesh. And in ecstatic devotion, the soul serves the other devotees, like Lord Chaitanya says, Gopi Bhata Kamalayo Dasa Das Anadas. One is not necessarily, I want to serve Krishna directly. No, I will gather the flowers so that another devotee can make the garland that will be offered to Krishna. And that is the nature of the Supreme Lord. Yes, Krishna is Supreme Master, Ishvara Parama, but he is the servant of his creation. Therefore, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Yo Didadati Kaman. There is one Supreme Eternal, Supreme Lord, Ishvara Parama Krishna, and he is the supremely conscious being of all other conscious beings. Eko Yo Didadati Kaman. He fulfills the desires of all the other living entities. So he's serving the other living entities. So Seva Bhav is not something just for the bhakta. The bhakta is expansion. Krishna, by his Achintya Shakti, expands as the Chit Shakti, Swamsa, his own form, expands like Baladev in the Panchatattva Nityananda Prabhu. He expands as avatars to function in the material world, and they're non-different. But then he expands as Swarup Shakti, Srimati Radharani, and he expands as Jiva Shakti by his will. That is called Ichcha Shakti. Ichcha Shakti. His desire is enabled by his Kriya Shakti. So he is expanded to enjoy, and one aspect of that enjoyment is fulfilling the desires of the expanded living entities, the Vivinamsa. He's enjoying doing that. He's enjoying fulfilling the desires of the devotees. So yes, period of sadhana, he is the Supreme Master. And so we approach Mam Namaskaro in the consciousness of respect. This is good for the sadhaka. He should not be pakrita sahajiya. Oh, by imagination I'm dancing with Krishna. But he's not purified. His consciousness is not in harmony with the absolute truth. He's not prakashante mahatmana. He's doing service from a contaminated consciousness. So the cure for that contaminated avidya that is polluting the consciousness is siddhanta. Therefore, we were discussing the other day, right? Siddhanta buliya jiv bhogavan chakore. Huh? Yes, one should not neglect the study of Siddhanta, thinking, oh, it's too philosophical. I want to dance with Krishna. No, one should chetudapana marjanam bhavamaha navapanam, purify the consciousness, and then from that purified consciousness, study the Leela of Krishna with great awe and respect. So Lord Chaitanya has taught us that we don't suddenly, like the Pakrita Sahajiya, oh, I'm dancing with Radha and Krishna. Krishna is smiling at me. No, we should worship in separation. Vipralamba Seva Bhav. I'm a fallen soul. I've fallen into the material energy somehow or other. I want to enter the Leela because then I'll be able to serve better. But I am not in that position. Like we say, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he just completely withdraw. He's entered into the Leela. In his mind, he's withdrawn from the external energy. He's in the realm of Kṛṣṇa consciousness, pure Kṛṣṇa consciousness, he's completely established. For him there's no duty, that person. But the duty of the sadhaka is chastity to the spiritual master. And by the grace of the spiritual master, pure bhakti is bestowed upon him. That is one of the characteristics of devotional service. That one of characteristic is that it is attained by the grace of a pure devotee. We were talking about Vakreshwar Pandit. So Damodar Pandit made an offense to Srivas Pandit. They were reading Bhagavatam. Srivas Pandit was in ecstasy and tears. So they took him out of the ashram. They said, well, you're disturbing the class with your emotion and all that. So Damodar Pandit lost opulence and everything. But later on, he served Vakreshwar Pandit, who we understand from the Shastra is Tungavidra, if I remember correctly. Vakreshwar Pandit used to dance for hours. There's a discussion, he danced for 3 days non-stop. We can't do it for 3 hours, but he can do it for 3 days. So then Damodar Pandit, he overcome that offense by serving Vakreshwar Pandit, and then he got the blessing of Mahaprabhu. Before that, oh, you've offended my pure devotee, I'm not so inclined to give you kripa. So the Mahat Sevam Dwaram Aho Vimukte, service to the Vaishnava. And then Jagai and Madai, after they were purified by Nityananda Prabhu and Mahaprabhu, what did they do? They built a bathing ghat for the people who were going to take bath, the pilgrims, take bath in the Ganga, and they built it by their own hand, and they would sit on the bathing ghat to see that the monkeys didn't do any trouble or nobody stole the cloth. So by sadhu sangha, by seva, sudha bhakta, by service to the devotees, not necessarily just the Uttamadhikari Paramahansas, but also the sadhakas, then that attracts the mercy of Kṛṣṇa. Why? Because, he's like me. Kṛṣṇa is the servant of his devotees. We are everything, Sutrimani Gana Iva. Everything is resting upon Kṛṣṇa. He is serving us at every moment. We exist by his grace. That is his wonderful nature, that he is maintaining all living entities. He's maintaining even the atheists and the Rakshasas and so on. But so he has service attitude. So we are answer of that Supreme Lord. And one aspect of his quality is seva bhav. So it is natural. So the soul, when he becomes liberated, he also enters into seva bhav to other devotees. And another example is Vamana Maharaj, right? Vamana, he became servant of Bali Maharaj. Did he take a big job? No, he became the doorman. He's also, Vamana is also there in the court of Indra. He's worshipped there in the court of Indra, but he's known as the servant of Bali Maharaj. So this is seva bhav. The spiritual world is a place of seva bhav. Everyone is ātma-ram. Ātma-ramas chamunayo nigrantha apirukrame korvanti ahoitikim bhaktim ita bhuto guno hari. That the Supreme Lord, because of his wonderful qualities, is attractive to all the ātma-ramas. And there is a big discussion. Lord Chaitanya, I believe, gave 61 explanations of the Atma-rama verse in the Bhagavatam. Previously there was 21 in the Bhagavatam, a different Pandit, but Lord Chaitanya gave 61 explanations. I think that's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, if I remember correct. So, yes, ātma-ratiḥ, you become self-satisfied. But, ita bhutto guno, the Supreme Lord has such wonderful qualities that you desire to serve Him. Just like we admire somebody with wonderful qualities, we want to glorify them. If we're free of matsarya, the disease of the conditioned soul. So the ātma-ramas that have given up material motivation, they are now satisfied in themselves, as this verse explains. They are attracted from that position. What's the other example? The 4 Kumaras, right? The 4 Kumaras, when they saw Lord Vishnu, they went to the door of Vaikuntha. Oh, look at Vishnu, he's so beautiful. Huh? So then they came from being Brahmavadis, situated ātma-ratiḥ, we can interpret it in different ways, ātma-ratiḥ, situated. What is Brahmavadi? Brahmavadi is everything is spiritual. This is all spiritual. So they are full of Ram from this realization. But then they progress to Seva Bhav. So Radharani thinks that she is the servant of her devotees. She thinks that she is Bhakti Devi. She's devoted to her devotees. She does not consider I'm the number one. She thinks Kṛṣṇa may leave me. It's explained there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sometimes she's with Kṛṣṇa and she feels vipralamba, she feels separation. Kṛṣṇa may leave me. Even during Sambhog, she's feeling vipralamba. I'm not satisfied. Kṛṣṇa is going. So, as sadhakas, we must have this, we should learn from Srimati Radharani that, yes, we have a long way to go, that we want to go to the spiritual world. We want to serve nicely in Swarup Siddhi. Muktir hitavan yata rupan swarupena avashtati. What is liberation? It means to be situated in one's spiritual form. And in that position, enter into the Leela. So that's what we want. So we should have a certain lolam, desire. We should have prayojan tattva. This is the aspect of Siddhanta. We should have a vision of the spiritual world from reading about Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Vakreshwar Pandit, Haridas Thakur, all these great devotees. When we fix our consciousness upon them, then we realize automatically. And there's a very interesting thing there. Like I say, in the Purport, Prabhupada said that the devotee is liberated. He is in a situation of vidya at every moment. It's hard for us to understand. Conditioned souls, they have kunta. Kunta means doubt, confusion, anxiety. Should I do this? Should I do that? But the pure devotee is always, his consciousness is mixed with the Supreme. So he's reciprocating on this platform, just like Kṛṣṇa reciprocates with the gopis on the Ras Leela. One gopi is dancing in this way, so Kṛṣṇa echoes that movement, and so Kṛṣṇa is echoing the movement of all spiritual souls in the spiritual world, according to their Madhurya Bhav, Vatsalya Bhav, Sakya Bhav, Dasya Bhav. He's reciprocating in this way. But in the material world, we don't want to come down from that too much. He's reciprocating with people in the form of the Virat Rupa. And we see in the 11th canto, in the 11th chapter rather, that reciprocation is not so sweet. You know, Arjuna saw all the living entities, Kalosmi aham. I am the destroyer of all worlds. So this time is destroying everybody and everything in the material world. And they're all rushing in and they're being devoured by blazing mouth of the Virat Rupa. So we can become renounced by thinking about that. And we can become attached to the Supreme Lord in that way. So, and how do we take that? How do we become energized? Lord Chaitanya has especially empowered the Hare Krishna mantra to establish us in that position where we have no kāryam, we have no duty to this material world. We just have the duty to Lord Chaitanya. And so we should, when we chant, we should situate ourselves in the kirtan party of Lord Chaitanya. And in that kirtan party we worship the Leela of the Supreme Lord. But we do that from a position of vipralamba. I haven't attained this, but this is my desire. Moraye abhilash. Right? And then we chant in a mood of upasana, worship. It is a yajña. We're not, like I say, the sannyas means we're not doing anything devotional for our own, that is kama mishra bhakti, or jnana mishra for liberation or something. We're just offering to the Supreme Lord unmotivatedly. That is vairag, Kṛṣṇa explained. Vairag means there's no attachment to a fruit. So all that, lack of material motivation, lack of desiring the flute, that is the consequence for the sadhaka of learning dashmula tattva, learning siddhanta. Then he becomes liberated from avidya, becomes situated in vidya. And then, as Prabhupada says, he directly realizes the Supreme Lord. So yoga, bhakti yoga, Vedic system is not blind faith. It is experience orientated. We experience the Supreme Lord.
Next yoga class.
So we chant now. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So thank you for your kind attendance. I don't know what this fellow is doing.
There's a yoga class.